The Gauteng Department of Economic Development is inviting the public to submit comments on the Gauteng Township Economic Development Bill. The closing date for submissions is the 30th of July. Now, a thriving township economy is essential for the realization of socio-economic rights. In the recent past, the bill came under scrutiny as concerned groups warned that restricting the businesses of foreign nationals in townships could increase xenophobia, but there is some support for it as it is a means to achieve an inclusive economy nationally. To tell us more about the bill, we're joined by a senior advisor to the Gauteng MEC for Economic Development, Jak Koseff. Jak, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the Weekend Report. Thanks for your time. There has been mixed emotion to this bill. You know, there's one end that speaks to the, having the potential to exclude foreign nationals in the business scope, and the other end which really hails this bill as a gateway to inclusive economy stimulation nationally. What was really the intended purpose of the bill?
Thanks, Paul. So I think that it's really important to focus on what the bill is really setting out to do. And that's really to ensure that townships can be a genuine frontier of diversified commercial activity from the point of view not only of the industries that do exist in townships in a state of largely informal, low growth, borderline survivalist state, and how they can be enabled to expand and create employment, but also from the point of view of how these areas that were always designed, well, firstly the ones that were designed under the apartheid regime just to be labor dormitories and never to have a diversified industrial and commercial base, how they can be diversified into fully thriving economies, and also the newer areas that under democracy have become home to those that have attached themselves to our cities, particularly in Gauteng, and have become structurally disadvantaged areas, how they can develop into diversified economic zones. The bill is really about removing the legal barriers to that happening and putting in place legal incentives to create that reality. The focus on foreign nationals was part of an earlier version of the bill that isn't really structurally there anymore. The bill now focuses on affirming the structural rights of township businesses to participate in the economy from a number of different angles.
The Gauteng province, Gauteng Premier David Makhura spokesperson Thabo Masebe spoke of it as a development bylaw. Can you expand more on that?
Sure thing. So I think one of the things that we've picked up in baseline research over the last few years, and clearly Gauteng has been very engaged with this question from a legislative and from a political and certainly from an executive governmental point of view for at least the last 2 terms of office. And in that time, a range of research efforts have been done. One of the most significant was in 2017, where there was basically about 80,000 township-based firms were surveyed digitally by young people using an on-device survey. And over the course of that, we figured out a lot of things about the baseline reality in townships, one of which was that 9 out of 10 township firms don't have a business bank account. The reason I focus on that statistic is it means that they are not participating in the vast majority of the things that government, the private sector, various other players are trying to set out in order to create pathways for inclusion for township-based businesses into the larger economy. So if 9 out of 10 firms are in that state, you have to ask yourself why. When we did a series of focus groups and research efforts, one of the things we clearly discovered is that the regulatory environment that surrounds businesses and townships is one of the big features. So the bylaws that are drawn up, the rules around how and where you can establish a business, under what conditions, with what obligations, they're neither sensible nor enforced. So what you have is the set of rules drawn up for larger commercial zones and drawn up for suburbs and various other kinds of constituencies that are then applied to townships in a crude way because the authorities have no real choice or believe they have no real choice. And that creates a situation where the bylaws in question are not tailored or sensible for the township environment. So you actually need a new set of rules that cover everything from zoning to the rules that govern where you can have entrances to your property, to the rules that govern under what conditions you're allowed to get a business license. And really what the Act does is it flips the script from you may not apply for a business license in a township based on all these kinds of different conditions to you may run a business in a township unless there is a good reason for you not to do so. So, and to do that, it introduces basically a draft model bylaw. So this is something that provinces haven't done a lot of. It is allowed under the Municipal Systems Act. So provincial government can pretty much say, this is the way we think the rules governing bylaws and operating conditions in a certain area should be. And it's then up to the municipalities to comply. The way the law is structured, or the act, the future act that we're positioned now as the bill is structured, is municipalities have got two choices. They can either adopt the draft model bylaw that will be produced probably about a month after the act itself, which is a bylaw that is being produced by Gauteng saying this is the way we think that rules in townships should work for businesses, or they can take the principles that are in the act and basically use their own processes to change their bylaws. By far, it's simpler for them to adopt the draft model bylaw, but the municipal sphere has to make the decision. So you'll find principles on everything from for example, the allowance of the emergence of township high streets, the zoning around taxi ranks, making sure, as I mentioned, that licenses for businesses are easy to get and aren't based on onerous conditions. And once you've done all that, you create a situation where you've actually got a much better development framework for business in townships. There's things that in the draft model bylaw that will come out, for example, like the incentivization of last mile broadband, installing fiber in townships, creating community benefit agreements between large brand stores that invest in township areas to make sure they don't displace local businesses, creating zoning overlays around taxi ranks so that you can do commercial and residential development at a much deeper, denser scale around where taxi ranks are, so you can turn them into micro CBDs. So it creates a legal framework that then matches the programmatic framework we're introducing, including our new Township Economy Partnership Fund, that'll basically enable townships to become really diversified commercial and industrial zones.
Jak, the draft has been flagged as having the potential to increase xenophobia with the the constitutionality elements that are being raised here when it comes to foreign nationals. Is that not something of concern?
There is no exclusionary provision regarding foreign nationals in the current draft. So the draft that was gazetted in late 2020 did have a position that was seeking to affirm South African businesses and basically create an affirmative relationship between them and the benefits of the Act. But the Act as it stands now aligns with existing South African laws. It does obviously create a significant benefit to formalization. And it creates, if you will, a lower rung on the ladder of the formal that allows you to access finance, that allows you to access insurance, that allows you to, as a business, actually grow and create jobs and really draw employees from the vast labor pools of especially young people that will surround most township-based businesses, and really for whom a township-based business would be a really, really great first opportunity to enter the labor force. If you look internationally, the majority of young people's first jobs are with a small business. South Africa, courtesy our past and certain policy failures under democracy, we're an anomaly. In most sectors of the economy, you've got these kind of oligopoly/monopoly conditions where just very, very large entities dominate everything. We're trying to change that on the ground in townships. So obviously there is an existing set of tensions between the informal businesses that are there, that are run by South Africans, and the informal businesses that are run by foreign nationals, and often on a clustered basis, centered around ethnic identity, et cetera, et cetera. But in the end, if you are stepping on the ladder of formality and you have the right to trade in a township legally under the country's current laws, you will be able to benefit from this act.
So, Jack, sorry to cut you short there, because for the sake of time, does it essentially prohibit foreign nationals who do not have permanent residency?
It doesn't affect a foreign national who's got the rights to operate in the country legally. If you're a completely undocumented foreign national, it doesn't give you a pathway to formality, but no legal instrument would. If you are undocumented and you have no legal path to citizenship or no legal path to the right to operate a business, not even a section like 22 asylum seeker permit, then no, the act isn't going to be of use to you, but neither would anything else in our legal framework. So, as I said, the act aligns itself with the structures of existing law.
Very well. We're going to have to leave it there for now. Thank you for your time. Senior Advisor to the Gauteng MEC for Economic Development, Jak Koseff, bringing us up to speed there with the bill, the draft bill that has come under scrutiny here when it comes to the Gauteng economy, set to stimulate the Gauteng economy and allow for greater opportunity.